You shall not pass! That's not your line. I know, but it's iconic and I wanted to say it.
Congressman, one of your constituents is here to see you.
I'm a little busy going over the spending bill, thing.
You're not playing with Legos again, are you?
Yes. Okay. Send them in.
Thank you so much for taking the time to meet with me, Congressman. I know you have a super PAC schedule.
No, I basically do nothing all day and get paid for it by your tax dollars. It's a pretty sweet gig.
Okay, well, I won't take up too much of your time. I just have some concerns I was hoping you would address.
All right. Fire away, but let's speed this up. I only work 3 days a week, 4 hours a day for about 6 months out of the year, so my office time, pretty precious.
Okay. Well, first off, I'm concerned about government-mandated vaccinations. I mean, ever since the pandemic, I feel like the government and corporations are given more and more power to dictate what we put inside our bodies.
Here's the thing. I get paid an enormous amount of money by big pharma lobbyists to push those vaccines via government fiat. So I won't be lifting a finger to help you there.
Oh. Well, thanks for your honesty, I guess. Okay, next. I'm worried about the cost of living. It's astronomical. I mean, taxes, inflation, the cost of groceries. I don't know how my family is supposed to get by.
I hear your concerns, but there is a little snag. I love high taxes. The more taxes, the bigger the government, the bigger my paycheck. It's all connected.
Well, that's good for you, but what about the ordinary American?
Oh, I don't care at all about ordinary Americans. I do hope that answers your concerns. Nope, wait, I don't care if that answers your concerns at all. If I simply pay lip service to the plight of regular people, you morons will keep voting me into office and I can keep buying bigger and better Lego sets. And cocaine.
What is your position on reducing crime?
Oh, I don't care about that in the slightest.
What is your position on energy prices?
Oh, I don't care about that in the slightest.
Well, I would ask your position on Americans getting involved in foreign wars, but I bet you don't care about that in the slightest.
No, that I do care about.
Really?
Oh, absolutely. Perpetuating endless war is one of the ways in which we grow government, raise taxes, inflate the currency, and that way...
you get a bigger paycheck.
Exactly. Now you're getting it.
I just thought that congressmen were supposed to represent our interests, not enrich themselves while representing the interests of the corporate lobbyists. Americans are struggling and you're up here living the high life. I mean, I'm sorry, what are you doing?
I am nodding and looking concerned as if I actually care about what you have to say.
Government meddling and corporate lobbyists are ruining what makes America great. What happened to government for the people and by the people? What are you doing now?
I am pretending to write down your concerns so that you will think that I'm listening, but I'm actually writing down the lyrics to Steve's Lava Chicken from the Minecraft movie from memory. See? Also, if I actually was writing down your concerns, I would simply throw them away as soon as you left my office.
You're a terrible congressman.
Yes, I'm quite awful. Now, if you'll excuse me, it's almost quitting time.
It's 2 p.m.
That's correct. I have a 3 p.m. tea time with a pharmaceutical lobbyist, a 7 p.m. whiskey and cigar hangout with Jeff Bezos, and an absolute rager planned for 11 p.m. So much cocaine.
Well, thanks for nothing.
You're not welcome. I despise you. I've hated every moment of this interaction, and I loathe everything that you believe in. And your hair looks stupid. Okay, off to play golf with a lobbyist and cut a backroom deal that will cripple the economy and make life worse for everyone. Toodles.
All right, we're out with the boss dog. You can see he's a little hot. Temperature in my thermometer in my car, 100 degrees. With humidity, I imagine a heat index of about 107. And then look what I'm hiking through. They haven't come in and cut this. But damn it, I'm not gonna go someplace else. Got a mosquito buzzing me. God, I hate that. All right. Watching the world burn, watching the world burn. June 25th and 26th, 2025. Let's get into it. I want to give you an advertisement so you'll stick around till later in the video. We got some really good fireworks from Robert Kennedy. And man, I tell you, my hat's off to him. So it's actually good news. Yeah, and he really torched the Democrats. Anytime somebody makes fun of a Democrat, man, I gotta watch it and enjoy it and make a video about it. But anyway, before we get there, we've got some more numbers for you. The Cradle, which is a Hartford publication, came out with new numbers on Gaza, and I believe it was either 400,000 dead or 400,000 casualties. I forgot to write down which it was. So that's how many people that the Israelis have bombed and shot and exterminated from Gaza. Sean Hannity and Mark Levin, those people, they're probably real happy. Got a bug on the ear here. You know, and the Christian nationalists. The other number that we got was out of Iran. And once again, I don't know if it was 600 dead or 600 casualties. I'll try to look it up as I'm making the video. So that's how many, mostly all civilians. I think there was a few, maybe 50 might have been in the military. The rest were all civilians that Israel killed in Iran. Now, my understanding, and I don't have the numbers, was it was much less in Israel. Because Iran was sticking to mostly military targets, from what I could tell, although we still have no assessment of the damage that was done to Israel because of the total news blackout. Like I told you in a previous video, they kicked all the reporters out, especially Al Jazeera, and they got them out of there real quick. But anyway, the other one that I thought was a cute story was, Pam Bondi and I guess the Department of Justice, they're making anti-Semitism a priority in their lawfare in the United States. And I said, well, I guess we've improved from white supremacy, which used to be the #1 job of the Justice Department. So now anti-Semitism is the #1 job of the Justice Department when it used to be white supremacy. So maybe we got a slight improvement there. You know, I think I just wish they'd arrest criminals. That's just my philosophy on that. Whew, I got to rest, man, pushing the dog in this cart through this deep grass. It's getting to me. But let's get into, unless I think of something else, we'll get into the video right now. And this is, it's going to be hard to read. I'll just have to stop occasionally. This is the Vigilant Fox. And I hate doing these type of videos because it takes so damn much time because he cuts everything up into little tiny clips, but he does his writing, or whoever is writing, or maybe it's a group of people, they really do a good job of describing everything. So let's just do it one paragraph at a time. All right. RFK Jr. just walked into Congress and set the place on fire. They were not ready for this. Representative Dingell thought she had Kennedy cornered on the drug prices. Then he dismantled her argument in a one fell swoop. But the real firestorm came when he called out the one Democrat representative who Big Pharma made more from Big Pharma than anyone else on the committee. And I wanted to add on a side note because it just popped into my head. Was it Big Balls on the Doge team? He's given his resignation. So I guess Doge is a dead animal in the Trump administration. I mean, I don't know, maybe they're still auditing the federal government, but I haven't heard anything in the news about it other than Big Balls resigned, which I think is a bad sign, because I think he was actually leading up the team after Elon left him. But let's get the first thread. Before you fix your broken system, you have to be honest about how broken it truly is. That's how HHS Secretary Robert Kennedy Jr. opened his testimony before Congress. By offering a brutal assessment of America's healthcare crisis, it was a warning shot. The United States remains the sickest nation, he said, and yet we spend $4.5 trillion annually on healthcare, 2 to 3 times more per capita than comparable nations. Kennedy sounded the alarm. This isn't just wasteful, it's unsustainable. Healthcare costs are growing faster than the economy. Whew, gotta take a break. Oh, by the way, I brought lots of water here today. Oh. Let's see, grows higher in the country, yet outcomes are getting worse. Americans are paying more to stay sick. If we don't staunch this trend, we will ransom our children to bankruptcy, servitude, and disastrous health consequences. We won't solve this problem by throwing more money at it, he said, or he added. We must spend smarter. His goal, strip out bureaucracy, realign incentives, and redirect funds toward things that actually improve health, not just manage disease. And we got a video. Let's watch that now.
The United States remains the sickest developed nation, and yet we spend $4.5 trillion annually on healthcare, 2 to 3 times more per capita to comparable nations. Clearly, something is structurally wrong with our approach. Furthermore, healthcare costs are steadily increasing at a rate of 2% greater than the economy. This is unsustainable. If we don't staunch this trend, we will ransom our children to bankruptcy, servitude, and disastrous health consequences. Yes, an exploding debt is a social determinant of health. We won't solve this problem by throwing more money at it. We must spend smarter. We will shift funding away from bureaucracy toward direct impact.
Whew. Check on that. Uh-oh, dog wants to get out. We'll have to make thread 2 another clip. Hold up. Well, you know what? Let's try to get it in. Well, no, we can't. That's a long one. We'll get that one in a minute. All right, we're getting him watered. So while he's watering himself, we'll go ahead and get the second thread out of the way. All right. Two other pieces of news. I forgot to tell you that the Hamas is still fighting. They were bragging that they killed 7 Israelis in one strike, and there have been other casualties that they didn't give a number on, according to Hamas. So we can see the battle in Gaza is still going on, even though Israel and Iran are not lobbing missiles back and forth. So I guess that's people who are for the Palestinians. That's good news for them. Anyway, all right, let's get the second thread going here. There was something else I wanted to tell you. I'll probably get it to you on the third thread. All right, that's a lot easier than pushing that basket. All right, that's when Kennedy unveiled his historic 7-part budget proposal, a spending reform plan designed to flip the healthcare system on its head, tackle mental health and addiction head on. These issues are non-rival chronic diseases in their impact. HHS will aggressively combat the opioid crisis, especially the spread of synthetic drugs like fentanyl. Prioritize nutrition and healthy lifestyles. The president's budget requests $94 billion in discretionary funds to support these priorities, including administration for a healthy America. Clean up the U.S. food system. We will equip the FDA to remove harmful chemicals from food and packaging and close the GRAS, G-R-A-S, generally recognized as safe loophole. We'll talk about that in a minute. Some of this got smeared. WCH and CDC research or reform will end gain-of-function experiments and eliminate funding for research something on, like I said, and got smeared, radical gender ideology. At the CDC, we're returning to core missions, ranking diseases, investigating outbreaks, and cutting waste. Eliminate DEI funding and fight real poverty. We will move beyond lip service to communities of color and take meaningful action to address their needs. We're going to modernize cybersecurity and health, IT. The AI revolution has arrived. We will be using it to manage healthcare, data securely, and speed up drug approvals. Rebuild public trust that was eroded through years of industry culture, waste, and misplaced priorities. We will launch a new era of transparency in public service, creating an honest, science-driven HHS that answers to the president, to Congress, and to the American people. And we got a video right here.
While our official budget statement outlines many priorities, I want to highlight a few. First, we will consolidate programs to better tackle mental health and addiction. These issues now rival chronic disease in their impact. HHS will aggressively combat the opioid crisis, especially the spread of synthetic drugs like fentanyl. We will empower state, local, and tribal leaders to create effective solutions. Second, we will address nutrition, physical activity, and healthy lifestyles. The president's budget requests $94 billion in discretionary funds to support these priorities, including the Administration for a Healthy America. MAHA will oversee initiatives such as Prevention Innovation Program, which targets chronic disease and childhood obesity through access to nutrition service and physical activity and reducing dependence on medication. Third, we will equip FDA to expand its food safety efforts through research, regulation, inspection, and education, to remove harmful chemicals from food and packaging and explore how to close the generally recognized as safe with a grass loophole. Fourth, we will fund cutting-edge research at the NIH while cutting risky or non-essential studies. That includes ending gain-of-function experiments and research based upon radical gender ideology. At the CDC, we will return to core missions, tracking diseases, investigating outbreaks, and sustaining public health infrastructure while cutting waste. Fifth, we will eliminate DEI funding and redirect resources toward real poverty reduction. We will move beyond lip service to communities of color and take meaningful action to address their needs. Six, we will strengthen cybersecurity and health IT. The AI revolution has arrived, and we are using this technology already at HHS to manage healthcare data more efficiently, securely, and to increase the speed of drug approvals. Finally, we will rebuild public trust that eroded through the years of industry capture, waste, and misplaced priorities. We will launch a new era of transparency in public service, creating an honest, science-driven HHS that answers to the president, to Congress, and to the American people.
All right, now that you've seen that video, there's another piece of news that came out, and that is that Robert Kennedy Jr. is also taking on the pharmaceutical companies' ability to advertise. And man, the Democrats are having an apocalyptic fit. You know that they get a lot of their money from Big Pharma. Democrats, those corrupt-ass Democrats, those piece of crap Democrats, that's where they get a lot of their money. So if he cuts off advertising for Big Pharma, oh my God, he's really going after the Democrats' budget now. Oh, you can tell I love Democrats. Oh yeah, they're all corrupt sons of bitches in my opinion. Woo! All right, let's get the next thread out of the way. This is a good one. And then we'll take a break, because this is going to be a long video. That's I wanted to make this. Kennedy's plan landed like a thunderclap. See, I like the way they write this, don't you? I mean, that's why I like reading this to you, because it's like somebody's writing a novel, except they're just describing a hearing on Congress. But it's very well done. And this Vigilant Fox on X. Not everyone in the room welcomed Kennedy's vision. Representative Diana DeGette zeroed in on concerns that the NIH scientists could face retaliation for speaking out. She pressed Kennedy to commit unequivocally that no disciplinary action would be taken against those who signed a letter questioning his leadership. It should be an easy answer because it's illegal, she said. Kennedy insisted his goal was the opposite, that his HIS, under his direction, would commit that they were absolutely depoliticizing science at the NIH for the first time. Then he claimed the Biden or politicization of science across all agencies. This is what he was working to rid. The Biden administration, Mr. Chairman, the Biden administration politicized the science, and I just gave you 3 of thousands of examples of how they did that. But when asked about the letter directly, he said it was the first he had heard of it. Remember Fauci? I am the science. I am God. I am Fauci. You will obey me. You will lock yourselves in your houses. And yes, no, I didn't fund gainer research. I just hope you all die. Oh, I killed 10 million people. What? Democrats still love me. Go ask a Democrat about Fauci. Oh, he's the greatest thing ever. Fauci, you're my hero. You're my hero. Let's watch that video now.
So here's my question. Will you commit today that neither you or anyone else at HHS will take any retaliatory action against the brave scientists that work at NIH? This should be an easy answer because it's illegal.
I can commit that we are absolutely depoliticizing science at NIH.
Will you commit that you will not take any
Biden administration, Ms. Chairwoman, the Biden administration politicizes science, and I just gave you 3 of thousands of examples of how they did that.
Excuse me, sir. I asked you a simple question. Will you commit to not taking retaliatory action against the NIH scientists that signed the letter about the research dollars? Yes or no?
I don't know anything about that letter.
You don't know about the letter?
No,
okay.
I don't know anything about that letter. This is the first I've heard of it.
We already put that, our question in the record. I'd like a response.
All right. So that's thread 3. Let's get thread 4 done here. Then Representative Frank Pallone jumped in, and he was visibly rattled over Kennedy's stance on vaccines. He launched into a tirade accusing Senator Kennedy of shutting the public out of vaccine policy decisions. You've made a number of major decisions about vaccines, he snapped. There's been no public comment process, no accountability. Then came the outburst. Why are you afraid? What are you afraid of? Are you afraid of receiving public comments on proposals? Kennedy, unfazed, responded steadily. We have a public process for regulating vaccines. It's called the ACIP committee. It's a public committee. That's when Pallone lost the plot. You fired the committee. You fired the ACIH, he shouted. Wrong move. Kennedy shot back without blinking. I fired people who had conflicts with the pharmaceutical industry. He then delivered the line that ended it. The committee had been a template for medical malpractice for 30 years. Pallone tried to recover, but he was left stuttering. I can't. And just like that, the credibility gap was laid bare. Let's watch that video.
You have made a number of major decisions about vaccines, and again, there's been no public comment process or public accountability on that either. What are you afraid of? I mean, with regard to vaccines, are you just afraid of receiving public comments on proposals, or you just think these are fringe views that are contrary to the views of most scientists, and that the public comments will reflect this? You say you want transparency, but there's been no public process for any of this.
We have a public process for regulating vaccines. It's called the ACIP committee, and it's a public meeting. There will be public comment at that meeting.
You fired the ACIP.
I fired people who had conflicts with the pharmaceutical industry.
Oh, I mean, that's...
That industry, that committee has
There's
been a
been no-
template for medical malpractice
All right, look,
for 30 years.
I can't.
Don't you love it when a Democrat gets their comeuppance? Oh, that was beautiful, wasn't it? Oh, they're going to try to trap Kennedy because he fired some people because they were sucking up to the pharmaceutical industry. Corrupt sons of bitches. Democrats, all of them corrupt. All right, thread number 5. Let's get this one out of the way and then I'm going to take a break. We're going to push the dog another mile or so, get a drink of water. Kennedy turned the spotlight back on Pallone and lit the firestorm amongst the Democrats. It was epic. If I can take a minute to respond to something that Congressman Pallone said. He reminded Pallone of a conversation they had 15 years ago when Pallone was a vocal advocate for families harmed by vaccines. You were very adamant about it, Kennedy said. You were a leading member of Congress on that issue. Then came the bombshell revelation. Since then, you've accepted $2 million from pharmaceutical companies and contributions, more than any other member of this committee. He didn't even mention that Elizabeth Warren gets a ton of money, Bernie Sanders gets a ton of money, and your enthusiasm for supporting ACIP committee, which is completely rife with pharmaceutical conflicts, seems to be an outcome of those contributions. The room erupted. Democrats tried to shout him down. Chairman Buddy Carter called for order and asked Kennedy to retract the comment. Kennedy didn't argue. He just silently smiled and said, they're retracted. But the damage was done. The cat was out of the bag. Let's watch that video now.
If I can take a minute just to respond to something that Congressman Pallone said, and I'll address you, Congressman Pallone. 15 years ago, you and I met. You were at that time a champion for people who had suffered injuries from vaccines. You were very adamant about it. You were the leading member of Congress on that issue. Since then, you've accepted $2 million from pharmaceutical companies in contribution, more than any other member of this committee. And your enthusiasm for supporting the old ACIP committee, which was completely rife and pervasive with pharmaceutical conflicts, seems to be an outcome of those contributions.
Point of order. Mr. Chairman,
Thank you.
point of order. Point of order.
The chair
Point
recognizes
of order. The
Dr.
gentleman is impugning the reputation of a member of Congress. Mr. Pallone.
Stop the clock.
Can you stop the clock for a second? Can you state the point of order?
Yeah. He was impugning Mr. Pallone's
Mr.
reputation.
Chairman, I didn't hear it. Did the gentleman?
Oh, you weren't paying attention. That's why.
Well, you know, it's hard to pay attention here when we're not getting any response.
Okay,
My
okay.
understanding now is that the secretary says something about me taking money from pharmaceuticals. Is that what he says?
The secretary implied that Mr. Pallone would not fight for vaccine victims because he took money from the pharmaceutical industry.
You know, again,
He needs to take back those words.
you know,
Okay, here we go, here we go.
Taken down.
This, Mr. Secretary, this is a valid point of order, I'm told. So I'd ask you if you would, please take back those words.
They're retracted.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary.
Wasn't that beautiful? Did you see them Democrats squirm? Oh, you mean I took $2 million from the pharmaceutical company? Oh, and is that why, I'm worried about these people on the ACIP committee that were collecting money from the pharmaceutical company? They're all corrupt. Let's take a break, get some water, and then we'll get back after I've pushed the dog another mile or so. Man, I just recorded a whole thread and I didn't get it. I just pulled up here. I was looking for a picnic table, but I wanted to show you I'm kind of lost. This is where we are. I'm going to re-record this again. And man, it was a long recording. Sorry, that's one of the problems with making these videos. You don't know when things are messed up until after you're done making it. But we're just going to walk around in here. So let's get back to the video. Man, before we get started here, I wanted to just talk about the bunker buster bombs that we dropped on the nuclear facilities in Iran, because there's two views of thought. If you didn't know, somebody leaked a report that said that no, we didn't take them out, which is true. We didn't obliterate them, as Trump likes to say, but I prefer to put it as we rendered them unusable. Let's put it that way, because Seymour Hersh just put out an article, and what he was talking about was the intention wasn't to get all the way down to to go through 90 feet of granite. Granite's harder than concrete, man. The intention was to make it so that the Iranians can't get down there either. I mean, can you imagine digging 90 feet through granite and then not knowing when you get down there whether the roof's caved in or maybe the whole thing would have to be dug out again? So, I mean, you're talking about years worth of work. And I heard the Iranians spent up to $1 trillion making those facilities. So we just did $1 trillion worth of damage to Iran. And, Iran's not like the United States where they can just spend trillions and trillions and print more money. So, but I did want to just point that out to you. So they're not both lying. Trump likes to be a little bit flamboyant in his language, but that's okay. What he's saying is not incorrect. So, and if you're Mark Levin or whatever, by the way, Mark Levin was ragging on Steve Bannon on the way out. I like Steve Bannon. Anyway, he's been accused of some things, but I tell you what, I can't even listen to Mark Levin no more. I mean, I've tuned him out completely. All he does is that, and I was already at the point where, because he's shrilling, he just shrills about everything, All right, so let's get back into the thread here. So, and then it says, Bobby sat back and watched the chaos that he had created with a slight. Wait a minute, I got the wrong page here. Hold on. That's what happens when you record the video. With a slight smile, he knew that he had exposed Pallone. And then it's got a picture here. Check out that picture. Doesn't that look like he's smirking? I'd be smirking. He just embarrassed the hell out of that Pallone guy. Oh my God. Anytime you get to put a Democrat down, that's always a good thing, isn't it? Oh, woo. All right. As the hearing resumed, Representative Debbie Dingell took the floor and steered the conversation toward drug pricing. She tried to box in Robert Kennedy Jr. with a loyalty test to failed Biden-era drug pricing policies. This is why Democrats worked so hard to pass the Inflation Reduction Act and create Medicare drug price negotiation program. Do you support the drug price? Let's see. Sorry, I lost my place. Do you support? Let's just do it. Do you support drug price negotiation program and commit to using the tools and authorities provided to you under the law to drive down prescription drug costs for every American? But Kennedy wasn't playing along. He scolded her. He pointed to the historic vision laid out by President Trump, one aimed at delivering real, system-wide relief. We're using every tool that's given to us, and President Trump has ordered me to do something that no other president has, which is to establish across the board most favored nations so that we're not paying more than Europeans are. We are in negotiations right now today with the drug companies over that. We're going to be able to lower drug prices during this administration more than any administration in history. Trump's plan isn't about party politics. It's about results. And Kennedy made that crystal clear. Let's watch that video now.
Let's talk about an issue we agree on, which is how are we going to lower drug prices?
The issue of
lowering drug prices for American consumers. Right. This is why Democrats work so hard to pass the Inflation Reduction Act and create the Medicare drug price negotiation program, which provided you, the Secretary, with the authority to negotiate pharmaceutical companies to lower drug prices for the Medicare program. Do you support the drug price negotiation program and commit to using the tools and authorities provided to you under the law to drive down prescription drug costs for the American?
Yeah, we're using every tool that's given to us, and President Trump has ordered me to do something that no other president has, which is to establish across the board most favored nations so that we're not paying more than Europeans are. We're in negotiations right now today with the drug companies over that. We're going to be able to lower drug prices during this administration more than any administration in history.
All right. Wasn't that fantastic? Can you imagine those Democrats sweating on that panel? Trump cut him off from USAID. That was all their corrupt money from USAID. Now he's going to cut them off from prescription drugs. Because think about it, if the drug companies can't advertise no more and they have to lower their prices, they're not going to be able to bribe the Democrats the way they've been able to in the past. I bet the Democrats are shaking in their booties now, going, no, Trump's actually going to do something about prescription drug pricing. That's impossible. We've been lying to the American people for 100 years and telling them we would do this, something like that. And we never did it. How can Trump do it? We can't get along with that. Thread 8. Representative Dingell was left with a phased expression on her face as she came to understand that MAHA actually meant change, not Democrat talking points. Let's look at that right now. You got that picture? Doesn't that look like she's sweating? No more high prescription drug prices. Well, I'm going to have to... I think I'm on the trail that goes to the picnic table. I bet I am. Oh, well, not too late now. All right, let's get to thread 9. Then came to a topic few in Washington like to revisit. The 340,000 unaccompanied migrant children lost during the Biden administration. It's truly heartbreaking what the previous administration allowed HHS to do. Representative Kat Kamick didn't hold back. She detailed how the HHS has failed to properly vet sponsors and how law enforcement was denied access to critical data. These kids were sent to unsafe addresses, non-existent ones, she said. They were exposed to trafficking and exploitation. And she didn't say it, but they were also raped repeatedly. And the Democrats got the money, man. You don't think that's for real? Democrats are the mafia. The mafia pays the Democrats. And they gave the kids to the drug cartels. What do you think the drug cartels are going to do with the kids? The Democrats knew this all along. They knew it the whole time, and yet they just let it go. Oh, man, I'm sorry. Get off on my box. They were exposed to trafficking and exploitation. Kenny didn't try to shift blame, but he did explain what went wrong. They were emphasizing speed over security, he said. There were political reasons for that. They wanted the optics of empty detention centers. In horrifying detail, he described traffickers picking up dozens of children with fake IDs and shipping them to parking lots, strip clubs, and container yards. One person got 42 kids to one address, Kennedy said. He vowed to stop it. Under his leadership, HHS will now require DNA testing, ID checks, income verification, and background screening for every sponsor, no exceptions. This is what accountability looks like when the cameras are gone. Let's watch that video now.
Changing gears a little bit here, the DHS Inspector General has confirmed for us what so many of us have known for a long time, that under the Biden-Harris administration, HHS, which is responsible for unaccompanied children, they lost track of over 340,000 unaccompanied migrant children. They failed to vet sponsors, and they blocked law enforcement from getting critical information to ensure the safety of these children. Now, we know several investigative reports, both from government sources and outside, have reported that these kids were sent to unsafe addresses, even non-existent ones. They were exposed to trafficking and exploitation, and many of them have not been found to this day. Now, I know you've had a lot on your plate. It's been a crazy 6 months, but I know this is a top priority for HHS. So like so many other things that you've been tasked with cleaning up, what specific steps is HHS taking to restore the accountability, improve the sponsor vetting, and ensure that law enforcement can do its job to protect these children and find these children?
One of the major reason that the Biden administration lost track of all those children is because they were emphasizing speed over security. And there were political reasons for that. They wanted to get the kids out of U.S. custody, so they were handing them off to anybody. They didn't require background checks. They didn't require identification even. I've watched horror stories of the same person picking up child after child after child, using different names and different addresses. One of the addresses was a strip club. One of the addresses was a parking lot. One of the addresses was an empty lot that was filled with shipping containers. And this character was getting all these kids. One person got 42 kids to one address. What we're doing now is DNA testing on every sponsor. We're doing personal identification. We're doing background checks, and we're doing income verification.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary.
All right. So Kennedy's going to put a stop to the child trafficking. Thank God. I've been on my box about that the entire Biden administration. I was telling people, I had friends of mine, they were like, oh man, it can't be that bad. 300,000 kids, where are you getting those numbers from? Well, Kennedy, if you want to believe him, he's right there at HHS. They got the numbers, baby. You don't want to believe me? That's fine. Finally, Representative John James brought the conversation back to the big picture. He asked Kennedy how he could dismantle the perverse incentives that reward sickness over health, where every actor in the system profits from disease rather than wellness. Kennedy agreed completely. At every level of the system, it's just a bundle of perverse incentives, he said. That basically puts every actor in the system, pharmaceutical companies, providers, hospitals, and insurance companies in an advantageous position to increase the number of sick Americans. The way forward, Kennedy said, is to realign incentives, outcomes. We want outcome-based medical care. We want value-based medical care, he explained. We're working. Last page. We're almost there. We're almost there. We're working through the Center for Medical Intervention to explore a number of pilot projects that will do just that. And we want to roll them out across the system, Kennedy added. He's already meeting with the nation's top insurers to make sure it happens. They want to do this too. I don't know if I got a picture right here or a video. Put it in if I do.
When it comes to the health of this country, as has been said many times before, we do not have a health care system. We have a sick care system. I'm just going to jump directly to my questions here. In your time and your research, do you have any objectives or any ideas on how to reverse the perverse incentives and some of the abuses that are happening with big companies and big government that are hurting people right now?
I mean, at every level of the system, there are, as you say, it's just a bundle of perverse incentives that encourage people that basically put every actor in the system, pharmaceutical companies, providers, hospitals, insurance companies, in a advantageous position if they increase the number of sick Americans and the level of our illness. And the way that we need to change that broadly is to realign the incentives so that people are getting paid to actually make people better. So we want outcome-based medical care. We want value-based medical care. We're working through the Center for Medical Intervention for CMI at CNN to explore a number of pilot projects that will do just that. And then we want to roll them out across the system. But we're looking for every opportunity, and I had meetings all this week, including with all the big insurance companies that will do exactly that. They want to do it too.
And then I did want to, I've got this sentence here. Special thanks to Overton, Overton, at Overton_news for helping me put this thread together. Always got to give attribution where attribution is due. But wasn't that just an amazing thread? I mean, my God. Think about it. We're cutting the Democrats off from the pharmaceutical companies where they make a lot of money. We're cutting them off from the child trafficking where they make a lot of money. We cut them off from USAID, from kickback, where they made a lot of money. We're cutting them off from Ukraine, where they made a lot of kickback money. I mean, the Democrats, they're going to actually have to get donations to be able to fund the Democrat Party from this point forward. You know what I mean? Woo, I'm loving every minute of it. Now, the last post is very controversial. And if you're a big Israel fan, you might want to listen to this, but this isn't me saying this. This is Peacemaker. Now, if you didn't know, I'll give you the background on this story. Iran hacked Israel and got a whole dump of documents. Now, it could have been when Hamas went over, because they got a whole bunch of intel on Israel when they were there. So I don't recall where these documents came from. But Anyway, so they're putting them out now, and this is what they have to say about the SAMSON option. If you're not familiar with the SAMSON option, I'll read you the last part first. SAMSON option explained. The doctrine's named after the biblical figure Samson, who destroyed the temple, killing himself and his enemies, has long been rumored but never officially recognized by Israeli authorities. This is not traditional deterrence, said one of NATO's top defense advisors who spoke in the background. It resembles a diplomatic suicide vest. If the files are real, it shows that Israel is prepared to take the rest of the world down with it in the event of an existential collapse. All right, and we're going to get a picture at the end. But I wanted to talk about that because, you know, we wonder why everybody quit shooting. I mean, it could have been that, because from what I understand, now, like I said, it's a news blackout from Israel, so we don't really know a whole lot about the damage, but I mean, everybody's saying it's really extensive. So maybe the Trump administration and maybe others were worried about the Israel being existentially wiped out, and that they were afraid they might employ the SAMSON option. So let's read about that real quick. This is pretty long, and you might not like it. The SAMSON option also includes American cities on the list of nuclear targets. The new leak reveals Israel's SAMSON option includes U.S. cities on nuclear target list. A number of documents released this week, allegedly obtained through a cyber attack on Israeli military intelligence services, appear to confirm the long speculated claims about Israel's SAMSON option, a last resort nuclear strategy to destroy the world if Israel's existence is threatened. Although the following article does not have sufficient documented support, it is consistent with what we already know about Israel and its leaders. If you have any doubts, consider Israeli historian, the Zionist, Martin van Creveld, said years ago. Now, if you're doubting all this, think about what they've done to Gaza. 400,000 people, all of them civilians, dropped 2,000-pound bombs on them, starved them, blew up, how many hospitals did they have? 35. Destroyed the Gaza University. You think the Israel is not capable of destroying the world? I got another thing coming for you, man. That's a Zionist. I don't like Zionists, and I don't like Democrats. I can tell you that. We have several hundred nuclear warheads and missiles, and we could launch them at targets in all directions, possibly even Rome. Most European capitals are targeted by our Air Force. We have the ability to destroy the world, and I can assure you it will happen before Israel collapses. Since its inception, Israel has acted as a ruthless force, a diabolical entity. There is no doubt that it will even target America if its own survival were at stake. Its guiding ideology can rightly be described as satanic, as Israel's repeatedly demonstrated its willingness to ignore moral and legal boundaries in order to achieve its goals. Remember how in the 1940s and 50s, the Israeli regime attacked Jews in Iraq and forced them to immigrate to Israel. Jonas E. Alexis is quoted as the source on that. Our most alarming revelations is a list of nuclear targets, which includes major cities in the United States and Europe. The files were allegedly released by Iranian cybersecurity operatives and are currently being examined by multiple Western intelligence agencies. If verified, they could have profound implications for global diplomacy and nuclear stability. According to security analysts, we have identified the alleged target list. And listen to this target list. This is going to blow your mind. All right, listen to this. Los Angeles, Washington, D.C., the NORAD Command Center, Colorado, Brussels, Paris, Berlin, Moscow, Beijing, and Tehran are also named. The documents outline a doctrine of mutual destruction not limited to direct aggressors, suggesting that nations deemed complicit or passively supporting SAMSON option, Israel's hypothetical demise could also, demise could also be targeted. So in other words, Israel will destroy the world if somebody takes them out. Why do you think nobody in the Middle East wants to save the Palestinians but Yemen and Hezbollah and Iran? Because nobody wants that possibility, and then they only peck away at Israel. I mean, I'm hoping that they'll collapse the economy, and that'll be done with it, and then maybe we can swoop in and gather up those nuclear weapons, which brings up another topic that some people have pointed out. Why not offer Iran, say, hey, Iran, if you'll get rid of your nuclear program, we'll get rid of the nukes in Israel. I bet they jump all over that. I bet anybody would jump all over that, but Israel would never agree to that. Or you could say to Iran, hey, we'll let you enrich your nuclear material as long as you put by the way, the IAEA, or IAEA, they're no longer allowed to go in. And Iran's parliament has voted. They said they're not going to allow the inspectors to spy on them anymore. Those are just CIA spies. Because if you didn't know, they took out all the nuclear scientists with their families while they were asleep in their apartments. And the Iranians believe that intelligence was given to them by the nuclear inspectors. So they're not going to let them back in. So there's not going to be no more inspections of Iran's nuclear program. But anyway, what's good for the goose is good for the gander. So maybe say, look, if you'll limit Israel to just a peaceful nuclear program, we'll do the same here in Iran. Something like that. Plus, Iran sent a letter to Putin in Berlin and a representative, and they talked together. So I imagine that some Russian air defenses are on their way to Iran during the ceasefire. It's not really a ceasefire; it's a pause, because that thing's going to kick back up. Israel's violated every ceasefire that's ever existed on the planet. They don't even pay attention to the word ceasefire. They don't care about international law. They don't care about ceasefires or pauses. They just do what they think is going to get them from the pasture to the sea or whatever. All right, man, peace out, stay free. If we get something on the way back, I got to hurry along. You can see it's getting dark, and I got about an hour and a half, 2-hour hike. So I got a headlamp in here so I can at least put that on and walk in the dark. All right, that's it for the video.
No, it's not Israel that's controlling it. It's the people who support Israel that are controlling it. And the people who support Israel are both of the sides of the Uni Party. It's in the American empire's interest to support Israel. And they ruthlessly enforce it in the ways that you've just been talking. Iran committed 2 great sins, and none of them have anything to do with nuclear. After all, when the Shah wanted to go nuclear, the American company Westinghouse successfully bid for the project to build the nuclear plants in Iran. The 2 big sins of Iran are, first of all, they are the only state, Yemen being a partial state, and others being liberation movements, resistance movements. Iran is the only state that took action to defend the Palestinian people in Gaza and to contest the absolute domination of Israel in the region. That's its number 1 sin. Its number 2 sin is that it is an indispensable linchpin in the new world that is being born. Russia, China, Iran, the Belt and Road Initiative, the North-South Corridor, the means of breaking free from hundreds of years of Western hegemony require as a hinge a free, sovereign, and independent Iran.
Before it gets too dark, by the way, I just want to be quiet, show you how deep in the forest I am. All right, so 2 other things that I thought of that I meant to add to the video, or added to the first round with the video. One was look up the USS Liberty. The Israelis killed 35 U.S. Soldiers on that ship. Now, I've forgotten the whole story about why they did that. It was to cover something up. And then we covered it up. I think it was under Lyndon Johnson that occurred. The other thing I wanted to point out about the Israelis, and I've seen video, but when the 9/11, when the buildings went down, there were supposedly Mossad agents that were on a building in view of the towers that were dancing around in joy at the towers going down. So a lot of people believe that Israel had a hand in taking those towers down. Now, there's a lot of conspiracy theories out there, but today's conspiracy theory is tomorrow's facts. At least that seems to be the way the world goes these days. So, because they were saying that they used that to get us into to the to go in and take out Iraq. And then, of course, the false premise that there were weapons of mass destruction, which there were not, which that's why a lot of MAGA people are upset, because you've got a lot of veterans that were over in Iraq. And when we realized that we were lied to, we're really pissed off about that. So then here's Trump, and he's going to lie about the Iranian nuclear program, saying that they're just about to get a nuke. And Netanyahu's been saying that for 35 years. And then Tulsi Gabbard comes out and says, no, they're not trying to build a nuclear weapon. You know, and there are all kinds of options for us to inspect those. You know, bring in the Russians. They were volunteering to help. You know, you had at that time, you still had the IAEA that were saying that they didn't have a nuclear weapon. You know, in fact, that people have pointed out, they actually had access to all the nuclear facilities. You know, and that's how Israel was able to target so many nuclear scientists, because the IAEA gave them the addresses of all the nuclear scientists. You know, and think about that. Israel didn't even give a shit. They killed entire families, just took the apartment rooms, you know, took the whole apartment out to kill them. They didn't care if the kids were in there. They didn't care if the wife was in there. They didn't care about the neighboring apartments. They blew those up too. Yeah, anyway, I don't know, man. A lot of people want to shrill for Israel. I don't know, they seem like an evil bunch of people to me, or a lot of them. By the way, McGregor pointed out, he said about 70% of Israel is for the genocide of Gaza. So it's not like it's just Netanyahu and the government. It's the whole Israeli population. They want the Palestinians gone. And they don't care how it's accomplished. Whether they're all dead or just put them out in the desert where they'll die from the heat. They don't care, not one bit.
I've got a queue of names I can give you. 80 countries long, 80 countries long that the United States has invaded since the end of World War II. Invaded or subverted by way of proxy armies, or assisted in the terrorist overthrow, mass murder, assassination, and other means to alter the course of the trajectory of those countries struggling to be free. So Israel can't be blamed for those, you see. It's not Israel that overthrew President Salvador Allende in Chile in 1973. It's not Israel that murdered millions of people in Vietnam, Cambodia, Laos in the 1960s and 70s. It wasn't Israel that launched the Korean War. The United States has been a malignant empire since the end of the Second World War. And I could go back. There are only actually 6 years, in the hundreds of years since the American Declaration of Independence in 1776, that America has not been involved in a foreign war.
All right, we got a deer. Let's zoom in. That's the max zoom I can get. As I get closer and basket makes too much noise, he'll just run off. But if I get another shot of him, I will. Let's zoom this back out.